Hello, and thank you for joining us on Classic Vinyl Podcast. This is the podcast where we listen to and review songs and albums from the classic vinyl era of the 60s and 70s. I'm one of your hosts, Justin, and like always, I'm joined once again in our basement studio by my co-host, Tyler.
Hello. Normally we start off by quoting or riffing on the lyrics of the song at hand, but we're not going to do that tonight because I don't know any of these lyrics. I can't even make them out.
I can give you one.
Okay.
Nowhere is there warmth to be found among those afraid of losing their ground.
I have no idea what that means.
I don't know what it means either, but I do have more.
Okay.
But today we're doing the Byrds, 8 Miles High. Let me give you a little history about the Byrds first.
Okay.
I think we've done one other Byrds song. I think we did Mr. Tambourine Man.
Yeah, we did. You know, the Byrds, we haven't delved into much. I like the band.
They're not bad.
They're not bad. But yeah, this song, I've heard this song a few times. It makes so much sense when you say it's psychedelic rock.
So the Byrds are an American rock band that was formed in Los Angeles, California in 1964. They were formed of Jim McGuinn, who later changed his name to Roger, which I'm not quite sure why, but he's on lead guitar and vocals. You get Gene Clark on guitar, vocals, harmonica, tambourine. David Crosby on guitar and vocals. Michael Clark on drums. Now that's Clark with an E, so a different Clark than Gene Clark. Chris Hillman on bass, guitars, and vocals. The Byrds were really kind of an American band that was an answer to the British invasion. Really, that's really what they were, drawing influences from the Beatles and all those other British invasion bands. And although the band didn't last very long, I would say their influences are still probably heard in a lot of music to this day. And even though they drew a lot of influences from the British bands, I think they've had quite a bit of influence on other bands as well themselves. So the influence in the sound of the Byrds, and I think one song that's a really good one to point out is Mr. Tambourine Man, was folk rock. And it carried over into a lot of other music genres and music acts like the Turtles, Sonny and Cher, the Lovin' Spoonful, Mamas and the Papas, Simon and Garfunkel, the Grassroots, Tom Petty, the Eagles, and even the Beatles really drew some influence, especially starting with Rubber Soul and the folk rock there.
And also the Beatles' use of the tambourine.
Okay,
because
I like it.
George Martin plays a mean tambourine.
He plays mean piano too.
Yes, he does.
So the funny thing about the Byrds, though, is they also, as much as they were in folk and in rock, and as this song kind of is today, psychedelic rock, they also ventured into country rock, pure country, and a little raga. So this band does have quite a few famous members in it, but you also have Graham Parsons on guitar and vocals that joined this band for a short time in 1968. And then some other members that were in this band later on were Kevin Kelly was on drums, Clarence White on guitar and vocals, Gene Parsons on drums, guitars, vocals, John York on bass and vocals, and Skip Batten on bass, piano, and vocals. All in all, the Byrds have recorded 12 studio albums, 3 live albums, 47 compilation albums, 6 EPs, and released a total of 29 singles. So here in the U.S., they had 5 albums in the top 25, with their debut album, Mr. Tambourine Man, being their highest charting album, which it hit number 6 in the U.S. Now in the U.K., they also had the same amount of albums, 5 albums in the top 25, and their debut album, Mr. Tambourine Man, charted at number 7. So about the same success with albums in the U.S. and the U.K. So in the U.S., they had 3 singles in the top 25. Mr. Tambourine Man, Turn, 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 both hit number 1. So the song we're doing today, although it's my favorite Byrds song, did not hit number 1.
And this one's also not taken from the book of Ecclesiastes.
Exactly. So in the UK, they also had 3 singles as well in the top 25, with only Mr. Tambourine Man hitting number 1 in the UK charts. Now, the band officially broke up in 1973, but there has been many reunions in the 70s. There was a reunion in the late 80s to the early 90s, and in 2000. The band was inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1991, which saw the original 5 band members play together for the very last time.
Wow.
So do you want to get to the song review?
Let's do it.
And now it's time for the song review.
So, of course, today we're doing the Byrds and their 1966 song, 8 Miles High. And I guess before we get going on a little song information, Tyler, what is your history with this song?
I've never actively listened to it. I've overheard it. Now that I've actively listened to it, I don't understand it any better.
So you wouldn't have known by hearing this was the Byrds. You wouldn't have known this was called 8 Miles High. You really don't know anything about this song.
I mean, 8 Miles High is about the only lyric that I can clearly pick out right at the beginning.
It just kind of starts off the verse with that, so you would never know that's what it's actually called.
No, it's very unusual that you have a song that's titled the very first lyric.
Well, and this doesn't have any chorus. It's just a bunch of verses put together. Kind of an interesting song. There's no middle eight to it or really anything like that. No breakdown or anything. There's
an instrumental interlude.
Yes.
And we'll get to that later.
Okay, so let me give you a little history on 8 Miles High. The single was released on March 14th of 1966. The B-side was a song called Why. So the song 8 Miles High was written by Gene Clark, Jim McGuinn before he was Roger, so we're only crediting to Jim McGuinn, and David Crosby. And, of course, David Crosby, very well known for being part of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Stills, and Nash and Young, and very well known for being an asshole.
Yes, an instigator, a shit stirrer, if you will.
In fact, I'm going to blame the breakup of the Byrds on David Crosby, just because I can.
Bald-headed, bushy mustache shit stirrer.
Exactly.
Man.
This song was recorded at Columbia Studios in Hollywood, California, and produced by Alan Stanton. Now, Alan Stanton was a longtime producer, and he had most famously produced, obviously, the Byrds, and the Fifth Dimension was another famous group he had done some production for. This song was included on the band's third studio album, titled, funny enough, Fifth Dimension. The album charted in the U.S. at number 24, number 27 in the U.K., but it did not chart in the Canadian charts. So many people consider this song, 8 Miles High, the first ever rock and roll psychedelic / counterculture song that was ever released. And either way, this song definitely marked a change in music. This was a little bit different from what they were doing, obviously, with folk rock. And sooner after this, you'd start seeing the Stones and the Beatles and everybody kind of go into the psychedelic era for a couple years. But this was one of the first.
This certainly broadsided the Flower Children.
Yeah, they loved it.
They were T-boned by this.
Many people have stated for a long time that this song's about drugs. I mean, let's be honest, 8 Miles High, right? But the band has claimed it was inspired by a flight where singer Gene Clark asked guitarist Roger McGuinn, actually Jim McGuinn, at the time how high they were in the sky. McGuinn told him 6 miles, but for the song, some reason they changed it to 8. That's the story the band gave, but who knows, because it sounds like a drug song to me.
So 6 miles, that's 36,000 feet or so.
The story is most likely made up to stay in the good graces of sensitive listeners, and they knew it would be banned by many radio stations, which that's exactly what happened anyways. And of course, when one radio station picks up to ban something, then the other ones soon follow. It's like dominoes. And the band self-admittedly was into many drugs at the time, mainly LSD. So it kind of makes sense, but they've kind of stuck with that story. So who knows? But as far as the song is concerned, Gene Clark has stated the song was his idea. Now McGuinn has refuted this and said it was his idea. It's funny because we talk about this. We've talked about it on our Beatles episodes and things like that of who wrote what part and who did what. I can't remember what I did 10 years ago. So how these guys can remember what they did 50 years ago in the pinnacle of drug use.
And definitely don't ask David Crosby what happened, because he's just going to stir it.
Well, that's why I was surprised David Crosby didn't chime in and say, no, damn it, I wrote it.
Yeah.
But McGuinn said Gene would never have written a song about flying. I came up with the line 6 miles high, and when you touch down, we later changed that 8 miles high because of the Beatles song 8 Days a Week. That's what he says. Now, keep in mind, this was in the later 2000s when he said this. So he said, I come up with several other lines as well.
A lot of these guys, I'm thinking, having it set in their head. What does it matter what the truth was, what it really was? I'm just going to tell a story. I'm going to tell a great story, right?
And that could be what it is. And I find it funny that David Crosby wasn't involved in any of this, but maybe this is where he learned his bad attitude. But there was a lot of tension, especially between Clark and McGuinn. And that really led to Clark's departure from the band after this album was recorded. So the song itself reached number 14 in the U.S., number 24 in the UK charts, and it did reach number 9 in Canada, even though the album it was on did not chart. The song did well. So, Tyler, after listening to the Byrds, 8 Miles High, pretty much for the first time. Now you know it's the Byrds. Now you know what it's called. Now you don't understand any of the lyrics.
Yeah, after listening to this actively for the purpose of reviewing, I know no more about this song than before I started.
Do you want me to give you some of their lyrics?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Rain, gray, toe, known for the sound, in places, small places unbound.
Okay, that's about what I thought it was. Okay.
What about round the squares, huddled in storms, some laughing, some just shapeless forms? So you're catching the LSD drift here.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. And somebody was, high as a kite.
So I've given you all the information. So what are your thoughts on this song?
Kids, don't do drugs without a babysitter.
Yeah, what a good way to put it.
And don't write songs when you're high on LSD.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to give that information out because some of the best songs were written on drugs. Let's be honest.
But we don't all turn into Cary Grant when we're on LSD, I guess is the point I'm trying to get.
Yeah, good point.
So this one, the Byrds is a good band. I like the Byrds music. And when, you said we were doing a Byrds song tonight, I was excited about it. And then this one pops up. I'm like, okay. I said, I don't recall which song was 8 Miles High, but okay, I was along for the ride. And then it started playing. I'm like, I don't really get this song. It's not that it starts off bad. It starts off pretty good. I love a song that starts off with a strong bass opening, and this song definitely has that. Followed by the percussion, and then the guitar leads in. Followed up by the lyrics, and the vocals are, I get the title of the song right off the bat. I mean, it just starts off 8 miles high in that soft, smooth Byrds tone that we're so familiar with.
Yeah, that's Roger McGuinn.
Yeah, it's Roger McGuinn. He sounds really great. But then it just gets all mushy and muddied. From there on out, the song just sounds like a muddy mess to me. And we listened to it 2 times through. I really tried to give this song some benefit of the doubt. And I really wanted to, I don't know that I wanted to like this song, but I mean, I like the Byrds. So I guess I did have a little bit of expectation going in that I was going to like this song. I'm sitting here at the end like, I don't know if I do or not. And I'm not exactly sure if it's supposed to be metaphorical. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be symbolic. Maybe it is. But on the first 2 listenings through actively, I just don't get it. I can't decipher if this is supposed to be of some symbolic, deep meaning that I haven't been able to pull apart yet. But I guess I'll try it again and see if I can go through the lyrics. But as you've been reciting the lyrics here, it's not making it any better. So I don't know, Justin. This one's tough. I'm going to have a hard time with the radio on this, I'll tell you that. Beyond that, the vocals are mixed so far to the back or so far into the middle that it's hard to understand what they're even saying, especially with that same smooth tone of Jim McGuinn's voice. He's got this smooth, soft tone of his voice, Jim McGuinn. And so it just kind of melts into the guitar and the bass and the drums. It just all kind of blends together, but it just gets real sticky and muddy. It's just like, trudging through a bunch of muck. It's real dirty, and I'm not really digging it. What did you think about this one, Justin?
Well, I think that's coming from you as anybody who listens to this podcast knows you're a lyric guy. And if you don't hear, or if you do hear and don't understand the lyrics, then it automatically hurts the song for you.
It does, yeah.
For me, I've got songs I've listened to for 100 years. I mean, I'm obviously exaggerating, but I've listened to songs hundreds and hundreds of times over the years, and I still don't know half the lyrics, or the lyrics I think I know aren't correct, but I like the feeling of the song more than I care for the lyrics, because sometimes even when you know what the lyrics are, they still don't make sense. True. And even if they seem straight up and mean one thing, the author meant something different. But I like the feeling of the song. But like you said, I really enjoy this song, how it starts with the bass, and then it gets into that 12-string Rickenbacker guitar, which the Byrds are very well known for bringing that into the sound, and I think it's amazing.
Okay, I'll go along with you on the Rickenbacker sounding amazing. It does. I like the Rickenbacker.
And that's what I really like about this guitar, and why I can excuse any lyrics you do hear or don't hear or think are strange, because I like the sound of the guitar. I'm not a huge Byrds fan, But the stuff that I do enjoy of them is stuff like this, where it's rocking and it's more psychedelic. I'm not into their country stuff as much. Some of their folk stuff is okay, but I really enjoy the guitar throughout. The bass in this song is really strong all the way through from the intro and everything. I think the drums, they're kind of a standard mid-60s thing where they're mixed to the back. And the vocal is kind of airy and you can't hear it very well and it's mixed to the middle. But I also think it's kind of supposed to be that way. It's supposed to have that mystic feeling or something. And you can write down all the lyrics to this and it doesn't matter if you can hear them or not because they don't make any damn sense anyways.
I wonder if that was the whole point of the song.
It might have been. I don't know. But I think the thing that stands out in this song for me is the guitar work throughout. It's got a really nice kind of dueling guitar solos in the middle. And then when the song carries out, it carries out with those same dueling guitars. And I love the sound of the 12-string Rick, especially when it's put to kind of psychedelic music like this. So this is by far my favorite Byrds song. And I'm not a huge Byrds fan, but yeah, a good song. So do you want to get the song rating?
Yeah, let's rate it.
Song rating.
Okay, listener, if this is your first episode listening, I'll briefly explain our rating scale. It's 0 to 10, 10 being the best. I put this one smack dab in the middle because I'm not sure really if I like it or not. I put it at a 5. I'm going to listen to it some more, and I'm going to continue to try and rip it apart and see if I can understand what they're saying. I might go lower than 5 if it doesn't start to make any sense or start to come across.
It doesn't make any sense. I can promise you that.
Oh, crap. It's going to go south of 5 then. Because if it did have some sort of symbolic meaning that I just wasn't able to decipher in the first couple listens, I was going to bump it up a little bit. But, I mean, I have to put it right at 5 because listening to this, I don't know if I like it because I don't know what they're trying to do. And I guess they're kind of ahead of themselves or ahead of their times trying to experiment with noise or with not making any sense, just putting words as lyrics instead of poetry or something. So I give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not very optimistic now that you mentioned that it doesn't get any better. So where do you put this one, Justin?
I'm a little bit different than you. I like the feeling the sound of the song gives me. I don't really care what it means. I don't care about the symbolic meaning because a lot of times, like we've talked, even when the band tells you exactly what it's written about, that's not always what it means to you. I like what the song means to you and how it makes you feel, whether that be the lyrics, the music, or as a whole. I rate this song at 8. I really do like this song. It's really one of the only Byrds songs that I frequent often. I've tried a lot of their albums and I've just never really gotten into the Byrds. I don't mind some of them, but they're all right. But this song I really do enjoy. Yeah,
you really get this song. So that's why I'm sitting here like, I want to give this the benefit of the doubt. I really want to.
Well, I don't get the song at all. I just like the way it sounds.
Yeah, I want to get there too. I'm just not there.
Yeah. So that's the Byrds and 8 Miles High. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or want to let us know what you think of the song, or want to let us know what you think of our ratings, please send us an email at classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. And we really appreciate you taking your time to listen to us. So until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates and also share us with your music-loving friends.